41 past the hour. This morning, a major development in the Menendez brothers case. In the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office, there's a decision to file a request yesterday to resentence Eric and Lyle Menendez based on new evidence, paving the way for them to possibly walk free. The brothers were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole after being convicted of killing their parents. Defense attorneys argued the brothers were sexually abused by their father. The case landed back in the spotlight due to recent documentaries, a popular Netflix series, and celebrity calls for their release. Here's what the Los Angeles DA had to say about his decision.
I believe that they have paid their debt to society, and the system provides a vehicle for their case to be reviewed by a parole board.
Joining us now, Anne Bremner, a trial attorney and legal analyst in 2017, and consulted with Eric Menendez on a motion seeking his release. And thank you for being with us. What's the impact of the DA's request?
Well, it's my pleasure, and thanks for having me. The nature is basically he's agreeing with a habeas petition that was brought by the lawyers for the brothers, and he's basically saying we're going to make it a murder as opposed to a murder with special circumstances. The latter, with the special circumstances, gave the life without parole. So if it comes back as a murder for resentencing, they've already served the sentence that they would have served under that charge and would be eligible for parole right now. Now, a judge has to confirm that. He can't just go ahead and make this change, just snap his fingers. It has to go before a judge for basically ratification.
And so how long does that normally take? And then once the judge ratifies that decision, would that mean instantaneous release?
No. Well, there's nothing that's super quick in the legal system, even in California, but it would be within a matter of months. They're saying that they would be home the counselor's saying they'd be home hopefully by Thanksgiving, which is amazing given that they've served 35 years on a very brutal murder case. But of course, public sentiment has changed.
Well, yeah, and I'm sorry to interrupt you. I didn't mean to, but I'm just, thinking what has changed. I mean, the brothers were sentenced to life without parole in 1996. You consulted with Eric on an attempt for him to be released a couple of years ago. As an attorney, I'm just thinking, what took so long for this new evidence to come out?
Well, that's fascinating. When I talked to him, they didn't have that new evidence. And they'd exhausted all of their appeals. But there's a number of things that have changed the way we look at male victims. I had the Mary Kay Letourneau case where the victim was 12 and 13, had a couple of kids together. She was a teacher. That was it happened back in the 90s. And the jury in my case, on a failure to protect case, said, you know what, it's like every schoolboy's dream, Mrs. Robinson, things like that. Today, we're in judgment, basically justice in the age of judgment. Look at TikTok, look at social media, look at how everybody looks at this case now. And that the documentary plus Monsters, the Netflix series, that was very resonating with a lot of people looking at mental health. That maybe they were victims. In fact, a lot of people think they were victims and they were denied that defense in their second trial. So there's a lot that has changed. And then the new evidence, one letter to his cousin, remember, about being abused from Eric, but also another victim, another alleged victim of Jose Menendez coming forward. The idea being from the prosecutor's office, if these things were available back in the second trial, maybe there would have been a different result. So a lot of different factors. And finally, they've done well in prison.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you again.
No, I think I'm the one that's talking over you, but go ahead, please.
No, I'm just thinking, when you think back of your conversations with him, and I know there's attorney-client privilege and all that other stuff, but what is it that struck you?
His wife was part of the conversation, so it wouldn't have been privileged. What struck me is how quiet, thoughtful, and kind he was. I'd followed the case back starting in '89, but he was just a different person than I would have imagined from all of that I had seen up till that date. And I think the prosecutor in this case, of course, can make the decision that he's made. It's a tough race that he's in. But I think he's looked at all the evidence and looked at these individuals and said they've served their time, they've paid their debt to society. That's what he said.
Anne Bremner, I thank you very much for being with us today. I very much
it's my pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.